Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to my first brisket video. Today you're gonna watch me take a big hunk of beef brisket and turn it into a delicious meal for my friends. So this all starts off with a big piece of Costco brisket. I actually got this on Instacart, and which you would think is not the best way to do it, but you know, duty calls or situation dictates what kind of stuff you're going through, what you need, and I needed this to be delivered. And I didn't put any special notes or anything. I just thought, you know, whatever happens, happens, and you have no control over it. And to my surprise, our delivery driver person actually got like the smallest or like the cheapest brisket I've purchased. It was under $100, yet still somehow it was 16 pounds. So that was interesting. Anywho, we are starting off by carving this thing. All you got to do really is cut off all those icky brown pieces of meat you see on the edges. The idea is to cut off all the fat that is going to get in the way, as much silver skin as you possibly can, which you can see a little bit there on this side, on the top there, really. That's like the grayish skin. That makes it hard for the meat to penetrate. And look at that. That looks like a piece of bacon. I thought that was really cool. Anywho, yeah, so we're just trimming off the parts of the brisket that aren't going to cook very well and are going to suck and make the whole thing worse, which is most of the fat. Now, don't freak out. My dad sees me cutting fat like this, and he's like, "That's the good stuff. Why are you getting rid of that?" I actually save it, and I put it in a little metal tin, and I throw it in the smoker with the brisket. And I render the fat down into tallow, which I use for various things, but I also use it for this cook. But yeah, so you're just going to see me shaving the brisket here, trying to round off the edges. I don't do as much carving as other people do. Well, I do sometimes, but on this one, I wanted to trim as little as possible. A lot of people, this end over there that's really pointy off to the right side, they would do a lot more trimming and make it a lot rounder, and you'll hear the words aerodynamic get thrown around a lot. I know why they did that, or why people, you know, have that kind of technique. But if you take a look at the actual thick part of meat there to the right, you'll notice that it's actually not very thin. The reason most people will do that kind of trimming is to make it so that the flat doesn't dry out. I am not worried about the flat drying out. That part is actually quite thick at the end there. So we're just gonna keep it. So now I'm just taking care of the point over here. And I'm trimming off just some of this weirdness. There's like a weird nub at the very left end side there that I'm about to take care of. Yeah, just shaving that off because that's not going to cook very well. It's shaped funny. It's going to burn, whatever, right? If you don't know, if you're not a brisket weirdo like a lot of us on the internet are, brisket is actually two pieces of meat joined together. It's the point and it's the flat. Some butchers will separate them because it's a little easier to cook it or whatever. Playing around right there, giving a little spank. Anywho, yeah, some butchers will separate it, but it's kind of a rite of passage these days to make a whole brisket in your smoker, and there's a whole community and like kind of a cult following around doing brisket properly. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through my process here. It's pretty easy. It obviously starts with the shaving. Really, all you gotta do is pick a brisket, trim the brisket, smoke the brisket, braise the brisket, rest the brisket, and then cut and eat the brisket. You know, and 5 or 6 steps, however many that was. I think I'm about done with this side. So this is the not fat side. I don't know what the actual word for it is, but right there, I just flipped it. That's a heavy boy. So now we got it flipped over. Take a gander here at this slab of meat. Real big, real thick. I don't know how it was under $100. So now, basically on the fat side, you just have to try and get the fat shaved off to be about a 1/4 inch thick or so. I did the best that I could, and it wasn't very interesting. So we're gonna move on to the seasoning portion. I am always going to season my fat side first, and that's because I am going to smoke the brisket with fat side down because my heat source comes from the bottom of my smoker. Therefore, I want the fat on the bottom to protect it. Some weirdos who are into fads online, they'll tell you fat side needs to be up so the fat can render down on top of the brisket. Trust me, this is the best way to protect it and to dry it out. My briskets have never been dry, and it's because I do fat side down. But anyway, we're getting to seasoning. So you can see I've got my binder of yellow mustard coated on there. So I'm just going to throw on a layer of Kirkland black pepper. My first couple briskets, I definitely under-seasoned. That's something that people do all the time, I think, and you really can't be afraid to season the crap out of this because it is a big piece of meat. I don't think you could over-season it if you tried. The only thing you can do to really ruin the seasoning is if you do too much like salt or whatever, but even then that would be pretty hard because this thing is huge. So I'm going to do black pepper as evenly as I can. I probably could have done more even. My seasoning technique is probably not spot on, but I don't really care. So we're just going to put that on there. And then my secret weapon, if you will, is this Heath Riles Competition Barbecue Rub that I actually got at the top shelf of Fred Meyer. This stuff tastes really good. It's got a little bit of sugar in it, so it creates a nice little sticky bark. You'll see how good this turns out at the end, but we're just gonna put this as evenly as I can across the fat side of this brisket. I'm going to do what I can to pat it in, make sure you get the edges, and then we're going to give it a big old flip. And this is the not fat side, whatever the right word for that is. I still don't know because I haven't gotten any smarter in the last 3 minutes. But again, just putting some mustard down so that the seasoning can stick a little bit better. Some people will tell you that you don't need all that, which is probably true, but I like to be sure and coat really heavy. So again, going with a layer of Kirkland black pepper. Just the normal stuff, none of this fancy 16 mesh things that you'll hear people talk about. Going back over with the barbecue rub, hit the sides. There we go. And now we got to probe it. This is really important. There is a little bit of a science to probing. You want to put the probe in the thickest part of the flat, which is, I'm going to try and locate and point out here. And then I'm just going to open up my little easy drip that my wife got me for Christmas, and I'm going to try and identify the thick point of the flat. There's the seam that I'm pointing out right there. It's a fat seam that kind of glues it together. I think the thickest part is on this other side, so I'm going to flip around. I can already tell I'm right. Look at that. Way thicker, that top part of the meat there. And then I think I give a little shot here. Oh, I'm going to talk through my AirPods now.
The flat is up here, and it goes all the way down. And then the point is here, and it goes to about right there. You can see the seam in the middle, and the thickest part of the flat is definitely right here. So we're going to probe right there.
So I'm going to put the probe about at the thickest part of the seam, and I want the end of it to be roughly halfway through. The idea is so that you know how hot the center of your brisket is at all times. This is connected to my Traeger, and I can look at it on an app on my phone. And it makes it really easy. I'm just going to shove that probe in there. Right about there is halfway through the brisket. Very nice. So now I'm ready to throw this thing on the smoker. This whole time the smoker has been heating to a whopping 200 degrees. That is very low. That's because I don't want to burn this thing out. I'm going to throw this bad boy on there at 205 degrees, and I'm going to wait a very long time. I believe I waited like 13 or 14 hours. This is going on at like 8 p.m., something like that, the night before, maybe more like 7. I don't actually remember. This is a big boy, despite being under $100. I'm not really sure how that works out. It's really thick, like really tall. It's not very long. But anyway, we're going to plug in that probe. You can hear it beep. Got to make sure it's in a good position. Try and get that probe wire off of there so that it doesn't affect the bark. Got the fat chunks in the tin above to render the fat down to tallow. Gonna close it, gonna set the temp, and then we're gonna go to bed. So then early in the morning, what does that say? That either says 4 or it says 9. It might say 4, I don't know. I will zoom in and I will superimpose what it is. But now we got to wrap the brisket. So the brisket has hit an internal temperature of about 165 is what I aim for, which is right before the first stall usually. So what I do now is I do a double paper layer. I actually take the tallow that's been rendering and I kind of use it as a glue. You'll see here in a moment that I'm going to take like a little sauce brush and I'm going to rub it all around on this butcher paper. And it's going to create a blanket, a kind of a little house, if you will, for the brisket. And the reason you want that house is because you've made all the bark that you can at this point. You've done a lot of the outside work for the smoke to penetrate and create that nice smoke ring that briskets are known for. And so wrapping the brisket in butcher paper, and then subsequently, as you'll see, I give a tallow bath. I guess you saw that in the intro of the video actually, but I just give it a bath in its own tallow and its own rendered fat. The reason you do that and then wrap it in butcher paper is to then braise the meat, which will continue to cook it up. Oh, look at that. Ooh, hang on, just take a gander. Look at that. The fat side was down, yet look at all that dripping. Got a little bit of a jiggle going. The jiggle is good. Anywho, so now we are going to braise this thing, this giant hunk of meat that looks so yummy and is irresistible. I could eat it at 165. I should try that one of these days. But that might be sacrilegious. I don't know. So we're just going to transfer this to the paper, going to bathe it in tallow, and it's going to braise, which is going to further cook it, and it's going to let those juices really transfer around inside the meat and really just get a fantastic thing going. So I'm going to put this on the paper, and you can see a little piece of fat just stuck to my glove. I will be trying that in just a second. Let's give this a little try. Got to get a little taste of whatever just fell off right there. I had to eat it. It tasted really good. I remember exactly how that piece tasted. Very good. Wow. Love brisket. Here comes the tallow bath. This might be one of the best things I've ever recorded. This is all rendered beef fat that came from this brisket. There's something, what's the word? Something satisfying about using a piece of meat's own fat to braise it. It's something cool. So we're just going to keep dumping basically everything I've rendered at this point, which is a lot for sure, but trust me, it's well worth it. And there's a lot more fat that I can extract from these pieces. I keep it in a jar. I give it to my friends. I use it on my Blackstone. My friends make like skin cream out of it. It's great. I gave it to my sister-in-law for my second brisket. I gave it to, actually the rest of the tallow that I had after this cook, I gave to my friend who's coming over later. We're just gonna wrap this guy up, make a little football out of it. And then you guys aren't going to see the part where I actually take it out of the smoker once it hits an internal of like 195 and wrap it in a towel and put it in a cooler because my camera died when I was recording all that. But honestly, that part's not that interesting. So this is just going to go in for another few hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, maybe. And then we're going to set the probe to 195. And then we're going to take it out, leave it in the paper, put it in a towel, put the towel in my cooler so that it can rest. The resting portion lets all those juices and stuff flow and everything. But yeah, this has been a lot of fun, and here is the end result. That's decent placement. Ooh, it's jiggly. It's like Jabba the Hutt out here. And
oh.
Yep, that's good.
Oh, heck yeah.
I did it again. Oh no! I absolutely was No one was hurt from dropping that knife. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Brisket is easy and it's delicious, and your friends will love you forever. All right, have a good week, everybody. Bye.